You got to persevere when everything goes south on you. That's my message to you today. Welcome to John Mike Keene. And for those of you thinking, oh, Doug, easy for you to say, you don't know my troubles. Well, I brought some trouble with me of an actual account from a father of one of the J6 guys in prison that Trump pardoned. First, here's John Kennedy introducing the whole thing. Thanks for watching.
You've served in Washington for years. You're going to be called. You're going to be challenging the status quo. You're going to be called crazy.
That's about persecution. You're going to be called crazy. He's warning. These are some of like Hegseth. These are some of Trump's appointments that Kennedy is cross-examining there. And what does he mean by you're going to be called crazy? If you're going to be in America and serve America, things are going to happen. This is one of the J6 fathers showing you one of the grueling, terrible conditions those J6ers got, basically for trespassing.
Families have lost everything. Their husbands, the fathers, the breadwinners have been taken from them and put in prison unlawfully for many years for the simplest of infractions.
You said this wasn't the first prison that your son was at. Can you talk to us about what they charged him with and why he was at another prison before coming here?
Sure. What they do is it's called diesel therapy, so you can't settle. So what they'll do is when they first picked my son up on January 16, 2021, they scooped him up and then they started taking him from prison to prison. Son spent 202 days down in the bowels of the D.C. prison. The conditions there are so egregious. He was actually sifting water through a sock because there's so much rust in the bottom of that prison that you can't drink the water. And so, they would lay him on a cot. They had lights. This was like Vietnam, where they had lights on all the time. You had two blankets. They call them suicide blankets. And you just laid him on a basically a block, and you didn't even have a mattress. So and then what they do as soon as you start to get communications with your attorneys and your family, they scoop you up and they take you to another prison. And then so you'll be there for 2 weeks. You're usually a week to 2 weeks. You're in solitary, where they're transitioning you into the new prison, and then you're there for maybe 3 to 5 months. They ship you out again.
This reminds you of a quote by Dostoevsky. A society should be judged not by how it treats its outstanding citizens, but by how it treats its criminals. And you can judge our system as corrupt because of what they're doing to persecute this J6er in prison. This dad continues with this fascinating story.
And there was a time that on 2 Christmases ago, we didn't know where he was for I want to say almost 3 weeks. How is that possible? How come you can't, call his family? Nobody knows where he's at. When you can't talk to your attorneys, you can't hardly even talk to your family, and you can't possibly, make a defense. And then when you do get your attorneys, you talk to your attorneys, and then they scoop you up and they move you to the prison. All your notes and stuff, they take. So they know exactly what your defense is. It's like playing cards with your opponent looking over your back and looking at your hand. It's impossible to win. What has happened under the Biden regime was so egregious, so anti-American, unconstitutional. They walked all over our Bill of Rights. Thank God President Trump came in here, because not just for our patriots and our families, but for all of America, because if they didn't like you, they would do anything to shut you up. They tried to shut down my businesses. They had the local the state agencies come after my companies. I got a bunch of companies like restaurants. And so they'll stop at nothing to shut you down, and I've lived through it, and so here we are today.
So you're standing out here. President Trump signed the pardon over 24 hours ago, or coming up on 24 hours ago. Your son is still not out. What reasons have they given you for that, and what do you think is actually going on?
What this is nothing more than this nasty, rotten mayor of this city that controls these facilities. They're not federal facilities, they're city-run facilities. So what she's doing, because she's all bent out of shape, because they're out, she is doing everything she possibly can to hold up the process and also harm him. My son was assaulted by a lieutenant and 5 other guards last night. He was assaulted, punched. He was sitting in the middle of the quad waiting to get processed and go out. Came in, they handcuffed him, they wrenched his wrists, put him behind him, they punched him, from what I understand. They threw him physically into his cell, and that's where he was for the rest of the night. And this is a young man who has been pardoned like everybody else. And so this is how they're treating them. So we already have a lawsuit filed, but this just adds to that.
May they win that lawsuit for hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars against this corrupt system. He was already pardoned, and the guards are still punching an innocent. I don't know about innocent, but he's pardoned. That is, you cannot further his punishment. This is terrible. This is monstrous. I'm going to let John Kennedy give us a wrap up here.
Many people also called Noah crazy. And then the rains came. And all the fact checkers died. You have to persevere.
All the people in charge, the smarties, the powdered wigs with beauty marks, the Victorian snobs, the Pharisees, they died. The persecutors died. And you have to persevere. I'm thankful this J6er persevered and that Trump and God had mercy on him. I'm John Mike Keane. We must persevere.